But it is really nice to talk to you. Like it's so amazing to talk because we've been talking for months now on Instagram,
For a
like
while,
DMs,
yeah.
yeah, for quite some time. And I came across your channel a while back, and I was like, wow, this is something different. This is really refreshing to see this stuff because, like, as you may know, we're around the same age group, and we grew up watching, the Jean Claude's and the Seagal movies and all that sort of stuff. So I was remotely straight away interested and invested in your channel. And I was like sitting there till like 1 a.m. in the morning watching all these videos, like the top 10 this, the top 10 this, and why Steven Seagal was so popular here. And I was like, wow, this guy's onto something. So I
Well,
was
the
like
funny
watching it.
thing is, so I
Yeah.
went to film school and was really the only one talking about these movies. Other
Yeah.
people, would always say, "Oh, there's
Yeah.
just stupid action movies." I'm like, no, there's a lot
Oh,
more thought
no
that goes into
way.
these. They're pretty
No way.
brilliant. So I was always an
No
advocate.
way.
So me just
Oh,
talking
same
about them
here.
on YouTube made a lot of sense later on.
But if you think about it, like obviously, like you said, you went to film school. There's more than just a silly action movie. There's a lot more to it. There's like morals, and there's a message in a lot of these action films, And I think that's why they're so relatable, especially to young men growing up. To look at those role models and stuff like that. So I think that's why myself included was so drawn to those movies. To look up to somebody like a Clint Eastwood's, Jean Claude Van Damme's, Lundgren, and own story made it easier to get where they're going. They had to work their asses off to get where they're going. And I feel that you've been the same way. You've worked your ass off to get your channel to where it's going now. And I've noticed that you had a lot of hate as well and a lot of trolls. And I've, I've had my fair share of trolls. So
Yeah,
I've
that
seen
just
the
comes
chat.
with the territory,
Yeah.
man. It's
Yeah.
like a necessary evil. It could
Yeah.
definitely bug people. Like, you
Yeah.
could say, "Oh, it doesn't bug me." Like
Yeah.
it bugs everybody on every level, different ways. I, for the most part, ignore it. I don't let it take my energy. Like you could make
Mm,
something positive out of it in the aspect of, or in the sense that you could use it to motivate you. Like
yeah.
the greatest I mean, success is the greatest form of, like, revenge or anything.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like it's almost, you want to make the haters hate you more. Like you want to get to the level where it's just like they give up. They're almost like, okay,
Yeah.
at this point, what's
Okay.
the guy's made it too big, right?
Yeah, exactly. Well,
Yeah.
like I said, since the beginning of when I started to watch your channel to where you are now, like you've had these fights and now movie roles and all this sort of stuff. Wherever each time I look on your Instagram, you're doing something, and I think that's what relate. Like you're either working. I don't even know how many hours in the day do you sleep. Like, do you sleep like 1 hour a day and the rest is
Not
work or
enough.
what?
Like over the
Uh,
last not 2 weeks, but because I've been home.
mm,
What's today? Today's Saturday?
it,
Like I lose
it's
track of
fr-
time now. No,
It's
it's
Friday for you.
Friday because the
It's
stock
Friday for
market's
you, and
open.
it's yeah. So
Yeah,
you're
no,
already looking.
that's only how I know
Mm,
if it's the weekend or a holiday, if the stock
yeah.
market's open or closed. So before all of what I'm doing now, I was a
Mm,
stockbroker for years, by the way.
yeah. Yeah.
And I still trade all the time for myself, which, kind of gives me a little bit of freedom where
Hmm.
I don't have to have like a normal job where I'm chained to a desk or
Yeah.
stuck in a cubicle or doing whatever, where basically somebody's overseeing me from like 9 to 5. Like I have
Yeah.
freedom. So I could,
Yeah.
utilize these different opportunities. But yeah, as far as like sleeping, because I just got back from like a multi-state trip. I was in
Yeah.
Dallas, Texas, which was
Hmm.
really cool. Some of the people listening, if they're in an anime, one of the biggest voice actors out there, Vic Mignogna. I
Yeah.
stayed at his one of his places. He's got a couple places out
Oh,
there.
really?
Yeah, no, me and Vic are
Nice.
tight.
That's
We
awesome.
plan to. No, he's awesome. Like he's done
Yeah.
some big anime, but we plan to
Has
do.
he? Has he? Hasn't he done Dragon Ball Z? Because
He's
like
done
I
Dragon
know.
Ball Z. He's done
Yeah, I thought
Full
he did.
Metal
Oh.
Alchemist. I mean,
Oh. I
people
was to
into
my
that
son.
world,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
he's a
Anime's
big
awesome.
deal. He's like an
Yeah.
all-star.
Yeah.
He'd be like,
Mm.
Arnold Schwarzenegger or something, or Tom Cruise. Like he's big in
Here's
that
here's
world.
the Tom Cruise of the anime. Yeah. I'll
But
have
but
to
the
tell my
cool
son
thing
that.
is, like, I mean, so me and him plan to do a film at some point next year in
Hmm.
2025. Really cool project. But anyway, I know people all over the country. So he literally just let me
Mm.
have full access to one of his houses, which is funny.
That's
So I stayed
amazing.
there, but I was at a martial arts Hall of Fame convention, the MMAM convention,
Mm.
and Vic got an award because, again, he's such a big deal in the anime world and a
Yeah.
very cool individual. I mean, he's out every week doing autograph signings at Comic Cons and all that kind of
Such a
stuff.
loyal
But
following over there.
yeah, yeah. But it was cool because I met up with a lot of people that I've already known, but also meet a lot of new people. See, that's what these kind of events, it's all about networking,
Mm,
about meeting new people. You
yes,
never know what you could get involved with. You guys could work
exactly,
together on
exactly.
something
Yes.
later. And even people that I'd interviewed on the channel, like Ron Smorenberg, he's a big martial arts. Like I've known him and I've interviewed him, but he was actually there from Thailand. So I got to meet him in person, you know?
Wow.
So it's kind of cool doing that kind of stuff. So yeah, anyway, so I was in Dallas and then I had to do some business related stuff in Miami. And then after that, we shot a movie in Sacramento for 10 days. And it was nonstop. There's no breaks.
Yeah.
It's 12-hour days, and then
Yeah.
you're hanging around, hanging out a little bit afterwards. So I didn't sleep too much, but it's almost like when you're working that much, you almost get immune to being tired. Like you don't even get tired.
Yeah.
You have energy, and you want to keep
Mm,
going and doing stuff. But the cool thing about that movie got Don Wilson and Muhammad Kisi, Tong Po
mm.
from Kickboxer in it.
Yeah,
That's gonna be a
yeah,
cool ass
yeah.
movie,
That's the
by the
one. That's
way.
the one. I seen the little posts on Instagram, and I've seen you've been posting all that stuff. So that's absolutely awesome. Like
It's gonna be called
yeah,
Natural Born Fighter. When
yeah.
that
I've
comes
seen
out in
them.
2025, Natural Born Fighter.
Natural Born Fighter. And what's your role? Are you allowed to explain your role in the movie, or is it a little hush hush? You can't say anything.
Well, we all play ourselves. That's the cool thing.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and there's
That's
only like the main storyline isn't real, it's manufactured,
yeah.
but a lot of the other
Okay.
stuff is real. So for
Yeah.
example, Dom Wilson is Dom Wilson, Muhammad Kisi
Yeah.
is real Tong Po.
Oh.
We got this
Oh, that's dope.
huge
Yeah.
guy, Bryce
Yeah. I saw him. He's
Huson.
massive.
Yeah, no, and
He's
he's gonna blow up like crazy, in my opinion,
he
next
look.
year. He's getting a lot of movie
Yeah.
offers, but we got him pretty
Yeah.
much first,
Yeah.
which is cool.
He
My
look.
buddy Joe in Sacramento. So Joe plays Joe. He runs all these gyms in Sacramento, which is
Yep.
true.
Yep.
And, there's conflict with him and his family because he's
Yep.
so busy, he's barely home. That's
Mm.
addressed in the movie. Whereas
Mm-hmm.
me, I was going to have that Shane Mosley fight, if people don't know,
Yeah.
but I
Yep.
dislocated my shoulder. But this was going to go down September 28th. I dislocated my
Yeah.
shoulder and I couldn't do the fight. So, anyway, I talk about that because I was literally going to go to Dubai and train with Steven Seagal as part of the fight camp, which is
Yeah.
kind of funny if you think about it. It's like, okay, so you get this guy, he's like a YouTuber, he's starting to
Mm-hmm.
break into movies, he was a stockbroker. Then all of a sudden, he's going to fight one of the greatest boxers of all time and train with Steven Seagal. It's like, you can't make
Mm.
that up, but that's my real life. So it
Yeah.
fit perfectly in the movie because if you made that character up, be like, yeah, guys, that's kind of a funny character,
Yeah.
what he's
That's a character.
what he's
So like,
into.
so are you like the final boss of the movie? Like, are you like
No,
the
so
final?
in the movie, I address missing out on the Mosley fight,
Yep.
and I need a big fight because now the shoulder, and it's pretty
Yep.
much at 100%, by the way. And I do have a big
Yeah.
fight. Oh, this is also what I did in Dallas. I did a
Yep.
face-off with Hector Camacho Jr.,
Mm-hmm.
ex-champion boxer. His father
Yeah.
was one of the greatest boxers of all time, but he's really good too. So
Yeah.
we had a face-off. That fight's planned for the summer. The shoulder, I
Wow.
could I could train for the most part normal again. And it's been a
Mm-hmm.
while now because I actually dislocated on August 9th. So it's been a while.
Yeah.
January 9th would be 5 months, but I'm pretty much back to 100%, luckily. Just got to build some of the strength back, but all the mobility feels
Yep.
good. I did a lot of rehab work. But anyway, so the storyline for my character, I was going to fight Mosley. I did get injured. That's all true. And so my character, and this is kind of like my real life too. It's like, okay,
Mm.
now Mosley, of course, is looking for, he did fight a guy on the 28th, by the way, last minute replacement. But he's looking for the big fight, obviously. He
Yeah.
wants a rematch against Pacquiao or Mayweather, which I hope
Yeah.
he gets. It makes a lot of sense for him. I don't think it makes as much sense for them, but it makes a lot of sense
Mm.
for him to try to get that fight. So I hope he gets that.
Yeah.
However, I still plan to fight him, and I'll tell you how. If I beat Hector, then all of a sudden I look a lot better to Mosley. He's like, oh,
Yeah.
okay, this guy beat
You're
an
more
ex.
tempting. Yeah.
All of a sudden my
Yeah.
stock rises. So
Yeah.
anyway, my character in the movie is like, I need a big fight because if Mosley's not going to fight me right now, I need to get someone else big. This Bryce guy is very popular on Instagram. He's
Yep.
huge, he's fast, he's strong. Nobody wants to fight him. Everybody's scared. So I decide to challenge him in the
Yep.
movie.
In the movie, of course. So it's
He comes out
choreography.
from France, and that's how that kind of gets set up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So how did they offer this role to you, for the movie? This 10-day shoot that you just did. Like, how did they approach you? Did they obviously known you from YouTube?
Well, the funny thing is,
yeah.
again, I meet so many people
Yeah.
through social media, through Instagram, through
Mhm.
YouTube. And Joe, he's seen a bunch of my videos. Like he's seen
Mm.
you know, a lot of people see the Frank Dukes interview and they're like, oh,
Yeah,
that's kind of
yeah,
a cool interview. And
yeah.
so he's been
That was
watching a
very
lot of my
popular, isn't it?
stuff. Yeah, he's been watching my stuff and then hit me up on Instagram and was
Mm,
telling me about some of the stuff he's involved with. And, you know, I have ties to Sacramento. Like I went to Sac State before I moved down south to finish
mm-hmm.
college and film school at Northridge. But
Mm,
anyway, we got to talking. We really hit it off. You know, he's another guy who's very ambitious, high energy. So me and him get along great, you
mm,
know. And having people like that, you could kind of help push each
yeah.
other and elevate each other. So I like that. Anyway, we hung out. I stayed there for a little bit. We had a great time. And then he was telling me, I'm gonna want to shoot a movie. I was like, oh, okay, great. He's like, well, I want to do it before Christmas. I'm like, look, I like moving fast too. Do you have a script? He's like, no, but I got a great idea. So anyway, long story short, I was trying to sell him on another project that already had a completed script that I felt we could shoot relatively
Yeah,
quickly, you know. But he was like so adamant. It's like, no, I want to do my story because I don't want to give too much away in the movie. I kind of told you the opening. Joe is the
yeah.
main character. I'm a
Mm-hmm.
big supporting character, like his best friend in the movie.
Yeah.
And you know, he was very adamant. So he you know had like an outline, and a lot of it was improv. So you know the show Curb
I
Your
love
Enthusiasm,
improv.
they
Yeah,
basically work off a
yeah,
blueprint. But when
yeah.
you're in the scene, it's like, okay, this is what we're going to talk about, but just talk and you know do it the
General,
way you
yeah,
would in real life type thing.
yeah,
So that the acting was different because you're not really playing a character, but you still need to come across as like natural and you know all that other
yeah,
stuff and make sure the words
yeah,
are good. You know, because like real
yeah,
conversation kind of it's all over the place, right? So it's got to be a
yeah.
little
It
more
can be
focused and
random. Yeah,
clean. Yeah,
yeah,
and
yeah,
there's still some acting in there because there's some
yeah.
moments that need to have some emotion, you know.
Finesse and stuff. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
yeah.
So anyway, that's how that project came about. He's like, I got
Mm,
this great idea. I want to do it, and we're going to move quick.
mm. So,
And
so when
it's
when does this get
great
released?
how
When does
quick
this?
it came together.
Well, like you said 10 days. So when is this actually going to be released? Is it going to be like video on demand, or they're planning on like
We
a
don't know yet. We
screening?
don't know yet. Like I
Yeah.
do know the footage looks really good. We had an amazing
Mm,
crew come in from LA,
mm-hmm.
Thunder
Yeah.
Studios,
Yeah.
and so everything was done professional. You
Yeah.
know,
I follow them on
like
Instagram too, by the way.
yeah, yeah, good, good,
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
that was my concern. That was another. I think things happen for a reason. But you know, here's another funny story. Joe and one of his fighters that he had fought in Reno at King of the Cage, which is an MMA
Mm-hmm.
organization. They do some amateur and
Mm-hmm.
pro fights. They got a lot of big names started. They got Rampage Jackson started. They got Ronda Rousey started. So a lot of
Yeah.
people come out there and, you know, go to the UFC. Anyway, one of Joe's guys had a fight there, and Joe made kind of a big scene over there. It was actually kind
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
funny. You should probably interview him someday. He could tell the story. But anyway, he made a big scene and a big ruckus. I think the promoters and the people that run King of the Cage kind of knew what he was
Mm,
doing. He wanted the attention and put on this big
mm.
act, you know.
Yeah.
It's like, who's this
Bravado.
guy?
Yeah.
Like, what's
Yeah.
going on here? And yeah, I think they got escorted out by security. But he made a big impact where he caught their attention, and one of the
Mm,
producers overheard Joe talking about a movie that he was putting together. And that's the
yeah.
guy from Thunder Studio, Zach. So he's like, oh,
Yeah.
we could help with that. You know, and look, I didn't know anything about the guy, and he's young. So I was a little skeptical until I talked to him. But I was
Mm,
trying to push Joe on Ross Clarkson because Ross Clarkson is the guy that's been working for 30 years. He even shot The
yeah.
Last Kumite. Like he
Yeah.
worked on Van Damme, Seagal, Scott Adkins, Michael Jai
Yeah.
White movies. A lot of experience, especially as like a
Yeah.
DP, a cinematographer, because and he moves fast. Like, you know, Joe's like, we're
Mm,
gonna shoot this movie before Christmas. I'm like, okay, we need somebody with that much experience who could move fast within like 2 weeks.
yeah.
You know, and there were some meetings with Ross, and Ross actually had some pretty decent scripts. I was trying to initially get Joe to as like, let's make this film instead. But he was set on his idea. So anyway, he was telling me how impressed he was with Zach. So I'm like, well, let me talk to Zach because I got a lot more experience in the film world, having shot several films now, and also you know went to film school. So I kind of know the questions to ask to see if this guy's full of crap or not. And
Yeah.
yeah, and I was kind of blown away with like I had 100% complete confidence in Zach after talking to him. Like, okay, this kid, even though he's young and obviously doesn't have the experience as
Mm,
Ross, because Ross has shot films longer than this kid's been alive. He is hungry, he's passionate, he's ambitious, and
mm.
he knows what the fuck he's talking about. So
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, okay,
Go with hungry and
I
passion.
was like, I'm on board, Joe. This guy, I believe
Mm,
he can do it
yeah.
because he's telling me about the crew. like we had a pretty big crew. Obviously,
Mm,
when you're doing a film, you got to have a guy, just doing the lighting. You got to have the
yeah,
gaffer, the sound guy, the DP,
yeah.
like all it's setting everything up. I'm like, okay, we Zach's got a real crew he's working with, and these people, they definitely know what they're doing. So it,
That's
it
good.
went very
So
well, man. It was a great shoot.
so after this movie's done now, does that mean he's going to do your movie now? Like, what's going on there? Are you able to give you his script and now work on that? Is
Oh,
he?
funny enough, there's another guy on set who kind of oversaw the project. See, here's the
Mm,
interesting thing about Joe, by the
mm-hmm,
way.
mm,
Joe was a producer, an actor, and the director because he
yeah,
wanted to go all out
mm,
Stallone and Rocky too. I'm like, look,
yeah,
and the writer, because I'm
yeah.
like, look,
Mm.
now
I
even
want to write,
Stallone,
direct.
he did great things, but he didn't even direct until he got the first one out. So maybe you should just
Yeah, yeah.
act and have someone else direct. He was pretty adamant. He did a good job.
Mm,
So anyway, he wore so many hats. While running his gyms and
mm.
opening up a third guy. You talk about me. I don't sleep. Like that guy doesn't sleep.
Yeah, he doesn't believe in
Like
sleep.
that guy is like, I mean,
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine somebody else acting, producing, directing a movie while
Mm,
also running these gyms and then trying to,
mm.
obviously deal with the family on top of that. It's
That's
pretty
just
crazy,
dedication,
man.
though, isn't it? It's
Such a
just
cool experience.
dedication.
But look, man, it got
Yeah,
done. And that's what I
yeah.
love about that because there's so many
Mm,
people that, and I've been involved with a few of them, talk about doing a project for years and it's still not
mm.
even done. May never get
Yeah.
done. Joe was like, boom, 1 month in, done.
Get it done. Let's get
Yeah,
it done. Get out the way.
I think it turned out really well too, man.
Yeah.
So
There's a term in Australia that we use here. It says, oh, it's a bit rude. I'm not here to fuck. I'm not here to fuck spiders. That's the terminology in Australia. So he sounds like a guy who does not mess around. He wants to get the job done, and he gets it done.
oh,
No,
that's why,
that sounds cool. Dedication. Yeah, that's cool. I
yeah.
love it.
Because
So,
my pet peeve is like wasting time. Like I
yeah,
hate that because it's
yeah,
like I'm very cognizant of my lifespan. Nobody
yeah,
knows when their last day is going to be, but we all know we're
exactly.
getting
Yeah.
closer to that every day. So just
Mm,
look, some things take time and patience is a virtue, but also on the other, aspect, once you hit middle age and you realize half the game's
mm.
over, like
Yeah, I
you
hit
can't
50 this
fuck
year,
around.
man.
There's no
That,
time to waste
yeah,
at this point.
no, exactly. I wholeheartedly 100% agree to that. It's like the moment you're like hit that middle age gap, you're like, okay, those years are gone. What I've got, this is left. Time is running out. I need to get some
And now
shit
we
done.
got the wisdom and
Yeah,
experience to actually get
yeah,
shit done.
exactly. Yes. So this is why I'm still working on what I'm doing, and people might scoff and laugh, but within a year, what I've done has been vastly more of an improvement than I did like in 2 years beforehand. So, like with you, like you don't always look at the opportunities that you can see. Also, it's also good to step out of your boundaries and see where it can take you sometimes as well. Like there'll be multiple platforms and multiple things you can be working on. And okay, and like you said, with networking, tell so many bloody people about networking is key. Networking is such a huge important thing. But yet people are just like, nah, ifs and buts and all that. So, well, I have no time for that. I am 50 now and I have no time to waste. I want to get here to there, and I don't want to be on that road, not the crossroad here, the crossroad there. I want to get to there, and you're stopping me. No witches' hats. Get them away, sort of thing,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So, but I that's why I admire you because like I go on your Instagram and you're always somewhere or you're doing something, you're training, you got another movie coming out, or you got some work coming out on your YouTube. You're always on the go, and that's what I admire about you. And I look up to you as as a middle-aged guy like my age. I'm a bit older than you. How old are you now?
I just tell people 40, and I'll be 40 next year too. That's my stop number. Like, I mean, I
I
grew
can't
up
get
in the
away with that.
80s and 90s, but
I
like
can't get away.
people think I'm like 34. I don't
Yeah.
really have any gray hair. Like I'm.
You see all these gray hairs? All my ex-wives. But
Luckily, mine didn't really give me any.
you know, no, but yeah, I don't care about my age. Like I'm happy to be 50. I think the older I get, the less fucks I give. You know what I
Sure.
mean?
Yeah, no,
You
that's
know,
the
it
beauty
is.
of
That's
like when
yeah. That's the
somebody hits 40, especially.
yeah. You get to that age now. It's like why sweat the small stuff? There's more important things to worry about than this small bullshit. And I think that's why we don't tolerate the trolling and stuff on our streams because or on your channel because
Yeah,
from
I
the
mean,
time for it.
I
They have the
used to
time for it.
fight back. I used to actually,
Yeah,
I've actually converted a
yeah,
couple of trolls into
yeah.
like,
Same here.
I
Same
switched
here.
them. Then they're like on board. They're like, oh, okay, this guy's actually pretty cool. I like him now. And
Mm,
but there are some people that like become
mm,
obsessed. Like I
yeah.
can't
Mm,
believe how much time and energy they spend thinking about me in like a
mm,
negative way. It's like, hey,
mm,
I just I recommend they use that time and energy in a more productive way. Then, because let's
mm.
face it, a troll is a person, a hater is a person that is not happy with their life and they're taking it out on somebody else.
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
just not happy people,
No, they're not happy people. I agree. I agree
and they're
that
never going to attack somebody below them. They always attack someone who's above them, who
mm,
is doing something or has done something that they secretly want, but they
mm,
can't stand that somebody else is getting it and they're not. So they got to attack them.
yeah. There's a lot of jealousy on social media, tons of jealousy. I've had so much people backstab me and say cruel things behind my back and even in my face. And it gets really, it's like that childish crap at school behind the school bike shed, where people are saying stuff. It's very childish and immature. And like you said, it's a lot of jealousy of people seeing other people doing well and they're not, but yet trying to get off their ass to do it themselves. It's too hard, but yet I'll troll this person for being more successful than me and doing the things that I can't do because I choose not to. But I'd rather sit here in a basement and complain about it. You
Yeah, it's
know?
kind of sad, man. Like I can't
Yeah, it is sad.
I couldn't imagine like
mm,
that like I'm such a like optimistic and positive person. Like I can't even put
mm,
myself in that position where I'm just thinking I got
mm,
to tear this guy down. I got to tear that guy down. Meanwhile, I'm not doing
yeah,
shit with my life. Like I just
mm,
I can't even think of being
mm,
that type of person, you know?
yeah. I think there's always going to be a form of jealousy. There can be like this form of jealousy, like a competitive jealousy, like maybe someone's around the same rank as you or doing maybe filming the same, and you like that competitiveness, which is fine, I guess. But when it becomes really heated and words, it gets a little bit childish. I just think people need to turn it back.
The competitive aspect, one last thing
Mm,
I'll say, like I feel that's fine and healthy. And even if you
mm,
kind of like, for example, you'd mentioned Jason Statham earlier. Like, see,
yeah,
that's a guy that like I'd look up to. It's like I would love that life as far as what he's done in the film world. He's reached
yeah,
that certain level. He's really the only guy doing
mm,
those theater, um, 10 million plus budget action films that incorporate
yeah,
some martial arts, so I would love to do that, but I'm not like jealous. It's more like he inspires
a
me.
goal,
That's what I
a
look. Yeah,
goal.
it's like
Yeah,
that's
it's a
motivating,
goal.
just
Yeah,
like all these other
yeah,
guys we grew up with: Stallone, Van Damme, Seagal. It's
mm,
like Arnold.
mm,
It's like that should motivate you. It's like look what peaks they've reached. And look,
exactly.
a
Yeah.
lot of these guys, if you break them down and look at their early childhood, and this is one thing I gravitated towards Van Damme a lot: skinny, awkward kid with glasses, just a
Mm,
nerd, weak.
mm,
It's like that was me. I was a
mm,
skinny kid with glasses, but then he
yeah.
became like this huge action movie star and a great martial arts and fantastic body. So it's
Mm,
like that inspired me. It's like I started training, doing martial
mm,
arts, doing all that, and transform myself.
yeah.
And that's what I loved about these
Yeah.
movies.
Yeah, exactly. I agree with you. I was a bit of the awkward kid at school too, and like I didn't get the chance to do much martial arts in my life, but I remember watching Bruce Lee movies and seeing nunchucks and making my own pair of nunchucks, and then repeatedly hitting myself in the head with them.
Head
I
with
whacked my
nunchucks.
head. Sort of stuff. Those movies sort of drew you in to, and really were found more relatable than you thought, especially growing up. But also, what collaborations that you've done probably in past or present that have actually helped you motivate your channel and where you want to go in the next year or two?
What do you mean exactly?
Like like the people that you've worked with, or like your networking, the people that you work with, like Don the Dragon Wilson and Matthias Hues, people that you've talked to, how have they, those videos that you've made with them or even talked to them, have they motivated you some way in your path now to like movies and stuff like that, where have maybe changed your goals or anything, or given you some really profound advice that's helped you now even further to your career?
Well, they've all lived really cool lives. I mean, like for example, Matthias Hues, there's a whole book on his amazing life, and he shared some of that on the
Yeah,
channel. Then I,
he's a great dude.
oh yeah, you couldn't find like a kinder, more respectful
Mm,
like guy. You could just sense that
mm,
energy. Like Bay
mm,
Logan told me, about him before. You know, he's like, oh,
Yeah.
and you
Hmm.
know, like there's a lot of great guys, but Matthias, like,
Mm.
yeah, you could just sense that warmth, you know, which is
Yeah.
for whatever reason, it seems like a lot of these guys who play the villains and the bad guys in
Yeah.
movies are
And
just
the
so
softies.
great humans
Yeah.
in real life, just like
Yeah.
Muhammad
Mm.
Kisi Tong Po.
Yeah.
Such a
Yeah.
great guy in real life, but you see
Yeah.
the movie Kickboxer, like, oh,
Yeah. Oh,
this
yeah. He's
that
such a
guy.
badass. He's such a mean person, but he's a big softie. But speaking about Matthias Hues, he's like in one of my favorite early '90s films, Dark Angel. I Come in Peace. It's called here, I think, in Australia. Um, I know it didn't do very well when it was released, but it became like this huge video hit in Australia. It did really well in video in Australia. And I remember watching it, and I was watching this 7 foot tall, blonde, Thor like tall dude jumping from one car to another, and the cars were blowing up in synchronization. And then I realized he didn't have a stunt double. It was him doing all that. It's like these guys were just putting their life on the line for these movies, which you don't see now. It's all that CGI stuff. But yeah, he's great in that movie. It's like Predator meets, I don't know. It's just a fun film, and yeah, and you could, I guess you could say that was just Christmas just going past. That could be an unofficial Christmas movie because it's set like
Yeah,
in the
yeah.
opening of the trees. But yeah, no, he's a great dude. But like I said, you've talked to all these guys and like you said, amazing lives, and you're talking to this gentleman, Matthias Hues, you think he's a big softy. What makes you think that like these scary looking, foreboding looking guys are usually the most softest guys, like the most not softest, but like kind hearted? Is it because
I'm not sure, man. There's probably a
yeah,
couple of reasons for that,
yeah.
but I just
Don't judge
think
a book by its cover, I guess.
I think in general you're pretty if you're like that in real life, like the badder guy, you're
Mm-hmm.
probably not gonna get cast in a movie. They're probably gonna like, we
Yeah.
can't work
Mm.
with this guy, you know? So
Yeah,
they
he's
do end
too
up
mean.
finding nicer
Yeah.
guys in general. And
Yeah.
I think, like, for example, because it's so out of character,
Mm.
like, you know, I played most of the stuff I shot, by the way, will not be out till 2025. Because
Mm-hmm.
the Natural Born Fighter was the sixth project I shot, but only one project's out
Mm.
right now, The Last Kumite.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
played the villain in a couple movies, and there's another film that I'm supposed to shoot possibly in March. Now this guy is like very villainous,
Mm.
bad, and but because it's so out of character in my real life, I can have a lot of fun with that. So I think you
Yeah.
could take it to like another
Larger than
level,
life.
being able
Yeah.
to act out a dark side of you that you would never do in real life. You would never play or
Mm.
go to
Mm.
those places in real life,
Mm.
right? But you
Yeah.
have that extra fun with it, knowing like, okay, this is not reality, but I'll make it real for now and just have fun with
Yeah.
it. So I think
Yeah.
that's how you could get those guys give those cool ass performances.
But they do a great performance. And what would be your goal? What would be your goal role in a movie? Like, what would be like your goal role in a film? Like, what type of movie would you like to be in and portray with your character?
Yeah, well, you know, it's funny because I had this conversation with the guy the other day at the after party of the
Hmm.
rap party for Natural Born Fighter. Because people just think, based on the channel, you know, oh, this guy's just in the action and martial arts films. Like,
Mm.
no, I like a lot of genres. In fact,
Same here.
one of my favorite actors is Matt Damon. Now,
Yeah.
Good Will Hunting is great. I really like the movie Rounders.
Rounders is a great movie with
Edward Norton, John
Edward Norton.
Malkovich.
Yep, yep, great movie.
Yeah,
Late '90s.
yeah,
Late,
98.
yeah,
I always call it
yeah,
the you know, the Rocky of poker movies.
yeah. It's a great movie because it's all about poker, and yeah, I remember that movie. I've
But it's
seen it
all
a couple
about
of
like
times.
going after what
Mm.
you feel like you're here for, you know? Like he's in law school. It's, you know, he does fine in law school. It's not really his thing, but I mean,
Mm.
he just even tells his girlfriend who leaves him in the movie that, you know, because at the beginning of the film, not to give too much away, but he loses all of his money.
Mm.
He's out. He's done.
Yeah,
You know, and then
yeah.
he's just going to relegate himself to be a law student. But then his buddy gets out of prison, Edward Norton, and
Mm.
of course, Edward Norton talks him into, hey, you know, you got to
Mm.
go to this
You got to do that.
game. We're gonna get
Yeah.
all the money from these guys. Talks
Mm.
him into it, you know, and then when he was telling his girlfriend, he's like, man, you know, I never felt so alive like when he's back at the table. So
Yeah,
anyway, I just love movies and stories like that. I would love to do a movie like that. Like I'd
yeah.
rather honestly,
With your acting chops.
I'd rather remake Rounders and be in that than if they remade Bloodsport, which they are doing, by the way. I'd rather be in the Rounders remake.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
actually doing a remake of Bloodsport.
Yeah, I mean, I know all
Mm.
about that. So when I was in Miami, I
Mm.
told you I was on that multi-state trip. The guy that
Mm.
owns the rights to Bloodsport's a guy named Alberto Lenzi. If anybody reads the Sheldon Lettich book From Vietnam to Van Damme, there's a whole section on
Mm,
Alberto Lenzi because Sheldon
mm,
and Daniel Bernhardt and Van Damme are going to bring that back
mm,
like in 2010 or 2012.
mm.
Anyway,
I remember
Alberto
vaguely
was
hearing
going to
about it.
bring
Yeah.
back Bloodsport with a guy named Ed Pressman. He produced Conan. He produced a lot of big
I
films. He
remember
was
Edward Pressman. Yeah.
Universal.
Yeah. Yeah.
He died like a year ago, and that was, one of
Mm,
Alberto's best friends. They were going to bring it back then.
mm,
There's so much more to that I can't talk
mm.
about.
Yeah.
That I
No, that's
know
fair
I
enough.
can't, like, there's
Yeah.
certain,
Mm,
legal
yeah.
things and all that,
Oh, yeah.
but
Yeah. We don't want to get you in trouble.
yeah, I know so
Mm,
much about that. I know so much
mm,
about this world that I started talking
mm,
about in late 2019 because I needed a creative outlet. I was bored as a
mm.
stockbroker. I needed a
Yeah.
creative outlet. That's why I
But
started the
look,
channel.
look where you are now.
Yeah, so talking about this stuff, then
Yeah.
interviewing, meeting these people, then training
Yeah.
with them, and then working alongside them. So the cool thing, because I do have this like vast network, I can get these guys, like if there's certain projects that, for example,
Mm,
I was telling Joe, I know we decided with Don Wilson early on, but I was like, let's get Muhammad Kisi in here because they're supposed to have a fight next year anyway. So wouldn't it
yeah.
be cool if Don is training the good guy, which is Joe, and Tong Po is training the bad guy, which is Bryce? You see, like,
Mm,
if they
yeah.
ever make a sequel, and I'm even proposing like a pilot, like that
Yeah.
first movie should be a pilot for a series, because
Yeah.
there's so many crazy ideas I have for this thing, and a lot of these people would play themselves. Like you'd have Frank Dukes in it, you have Billy
Mhm.
Blanks, you have Sheldon Lettich, and there'd be funny
Yeah.
storylines. Steven Seagal when I do train with him in Dubai, that's part of the episode. And then I fight Hector Camacho, but see, that's just my real life. But it'll happen in the show too. That's my character. And then
Yeah.
Joe's got his stuff that he does in the proposed show. But anyway, that's why I said, Joe,
Mm,
we got to get Tong Po in here because he's in the U.S. right now. Like
yeah.
I was with him in Dallas the week before we shot the movie, and that's what I was telling him about it because I was like, "Hey, Muhammad, like, what are you doing after this? Are you going back overseas or are you staying in the U.S.?" And he was staying in L.A. It's like an
Yeah.
hour flight from Sacramento. I was like, "Joe, obviously we you got to work him in the budget and everything, But I was
Mhm.
like, Joe, you gotta get Tong Po in the movie." And he
And
did
then you
last minute.
and he did
Like
it.
it
Yeah.
was great. He did an
Would have worked out
amazing job.
perfectly. Well, you got him in the last minute in a 10-day film shoot. And
Yeah,
that's
and
crazy.
him and Don were just there for the weekend. In fact,
Yeah.
I got him
Yeah.
on the same flight.
Oh.
Yeah,
I
which
was
is
like,
funny, right?
oh yeah, we can only afford but commercial, okay? You're gonna get commercial
But
flights,
that's
okay?
the cool thing because I am
Yeah.
involved in like various
Yeah.
projects in development and helping put some of these things together. And
Mm,
that's why even when I was talking to Timac, when I interviewed him a couple days ago, which I'm still cutting that interview, it's not out on the
yeah.
channel yet. He's like
Yeah.
another guy on my list. It's like I'd love to work with this guy someday. And now,
Yeah.
now that I'm cool with him and got his contact info, if there's like an opportunity where I could get him in a film,
Mm,
see, that's another thing people need to look at. They have to have that giving mindset. What could like I'm with Timac. I'm trying to
yeah.
get him something, and yeah, I'd love to work with him so I get something
Yes.
out of it. But I'm trying to bring something to him, and like I help
Exactly.
bring this project to Don and Tong Po, Joe's project. So he got me
Hmm.
involved, which is great. And then I'm trying to
Mm,
get other people that I know could benefit the
yeah.
project involved because you got to have more of that giving mindset. There's too many people have that taking
Mm,
mindset. You know how
yeah.
many people like
Agreed.
ask,
Agreed.
"Hey, can you put me in a movie?" I'm like, well, first of all, that's not even like my decision. Like, I
Mm,
can present you to the right people to see if maybe, I'm talking about random people, like someone like, like they'll just say, "Hey, can you put me in a movie?" It's like, what people should
yeah.
ask is like, "Hey, I see you're doing a lot of cool stuff. I'd love a chance to try out to audition. Can you put me in front of the right people?" See, that's the way people need to ask, not just like, "Oh, you got to put me in a movie." It's like, why? Because
Yeah.
I talked to you on Instagram 2 times? It's like, I don't even know you. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like, and the other thing,
I
that's
get
why
a
I
lot of
would
that. I
never
get a
even
lot of
ask. Like, look, if somebody wanted me
mm,
for a film, they know I'm pursuing film. They
mm,
see what I look like. They see my skills. If they think I'm good, great. I'm not going to say, "Hey, can you put me in the movie?" It's like, look, they know what I'm doing. If they want
mm.
to use me in a movie, they'll ask, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And if I did ask, I'd say, "Hey, look, I would love the opportunity to audition." That's how I would approach it. Too many people are
Yeah.
like, "Oh, you got to put me in this." It's like, I don't even know you. And I'm not
That's
even the casting
that's the
director, you know?
that's the problem with a lot of people's mindsets now. Is take and not enough giving.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I get a lot of that myself because like I'll be streaming and I'll say people will say, "Can you shout me out? Give me a shout out on your channel." It's like, well, what's the benefits? What's the benefiting me? What's the benefiting you? Nothing. I don't even know you. Like I'll get random people coming and say, "Hey, you should give me a shout out on your channel." What the hell for? I don't even know you. Like, what are you doing?
And
But
and the other thing
yeah,
is too,
it's so
just like I
rude.
said, people are aware of me if
Mm,
they, and this is actually how I got in the
yeah.
movie Hard Redemption, because somebody had suggested me to the
Mm,
producer and the casting director, and then I got the audition. And then they liked how I read, and I got the call back, and that was like the normal process for the movie Hard Redemption. But it was
yeah.
somebody, it wasn't like I found out they were doing this movie and I'm like, "Oh, you got to put me in the movie." It's like, no, somebody thought I would be great in it.
Mm,
And see that,
yeah.
and so the people that I interact with, like I have an idea what they can do and what they look like. If I feel there's
Yeah.
something that would be suitable, of course I'd recommend them.
Mm,
But I don't think people
exactly.
think like that. Like, look,
No, they don't. No.
if you trust me, like if you're right for it, that's why, like, for example, I'm
Mm,
like, we got to get Tong Po in the movie.
exactly.
For
Yeah.
this last one. And obviously
Yeah.
Don, I mean they got
Yeah.
names, but and there's even other non people who don't really have names that I've helped get in films. But again, it was
Yeah.
more like I just felt they were good for it, so I can at least bring them up to,
Mm,
the money guy, the producer or the casting
yeah.
director.
Yeah.
But it's, I don't know, man. It's weird. People assume I have all the power, and then they ask. They want to take. It's like, first of all, it's not my decision.
It's kind of rude. Yeah.
I can
Yeah.
suggest, but if I'm going to suggest, it's because I feel like they've already kind of fit that part and it makes sense.
Mm.
Because I love to help people if I can. If I
Yeah.
feel it's going to
Same.
benefit the project overall.
Yeah. You can't just, you can't just put anyone in there because they sort of like know you. I totally understand because you want the project to be at its best. Yeah.
Yeah,
So you
yeah,
want to make sure
definitely,
it's at its
definitely.
best and you don't want to just get some random person from Instagram just message you twice. So, hey, can I be in the movie? Sure. Why not? What? You're like, has he ever acted before? Never. I totally get what you're saying, but I think that's the problem with social media is like the moment people think they know you or talk to you in general chat, they feel that, oh, this person can help me. There's a benefit to them. It suits them. And the moment you reject it, you or say, "Oh no, it's not a good fit," or "I can't really do that," they sort of get shut off by you and say negative things about your. It's kind of disheartening too because when you do try to do the right thing and trying to help people out, they end up either stabbing you in the back or saying something negative. It's just I don't know what's wrong with people
It's hard
nowadays.
to balance and juggle everything. I
Yeah,
mean,
it's really hard.
it's no difference in the dating world, like the movie world, as far as look, somebody may be a fantastic actor, they might be a great martial artist, they might have a great look,
Mm,
but not for a specific character. Just
mm,
like if you're dating somebody,
mm,
this girl to some people could be a 10, to another person she could be like a 3 because they don't
mm,
like somebody who's too tall or too short or too. So
mm-hmm.
the movie casting is very similar. It's like, yeah, somebody could be
Yeah.
very good and competent, but if they don't fit the character at all, it doesn't really matter at the end of the day.
No, it doesn't matter at the end of the day. You got to make sure you got that right connection, and to make those. It's the same thing with Bloodsport. Like, look at Van Damme being that he was right, the perfect time, the perfect Rocky, perfect time, perfect moment, and now they're the classics. You got to have the right people in those right parts for everything.
Oh,
And
for
I
sure.
and like I said, like seeing like bits and pieces because like Australia has got no, it hasn't shown the last Kumite yet, and I'm this close to buying just a Blu-ray because I'm over and done with this crap. Because I said it's going to be on VOD right now. So, but have you got
Oh, I
you
think it's
could you
on Tubi. People have told me it's on Tubi.
really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well,
So
I'm
I
going to
don't
watch
know
it.
if like that means in certain territories or if it means worldwide.
I would say it's certain territories. So I don't worry, I've got a VPN. I can watch it on VPN. So because I want to see your performance, and then
Sure.
I'll
I get people hit
have
me
a
up all the time. Like I get
yeah.
at least messages a week where
I hear
someone's, and that's how I
yeah,
found out it's on Tubi. Someone's like, "Oh, I
yeah,
finally seen the last Kumite. It's on Tubi. You did a great
yeah.
job." Like, okay,
That's
cool.
awesome. But
Yeah.
how did you come across that experience? Like obviously the same thing. Like people saw your videos and approached you for the last Kumite.
Oh, well, the creator, Sean David,
Mm,
actually, it's a very long story. I'll just
yeah,
fast forward the
yeah,
whole
just yeah, just
section.
yeah, yeah,
Of course, he knows the
yeah,
channel and the audience that I have
yeah.
would be
Mm-hmm.
very interested in this
Mm-hmm.
movie, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's like, so he's like, "Hey, can I talk about the film on here?" I was like, "Yeah, of course, man. I want to find out more myself." Right.
Yeah.
So, at that time, he didn't even know I was a martial artist. Like, he found out
Yeah.
later, and because I had
Hmm.
a couple conversations with him, and I do
Mm.
remember him saying, "Oh man, like we had just cast the last part. Like, I really wanted to get you in this film, but the last part is cast." So I was like, "Okay, cool." Like, if for
Mm.
whatever reason this happens in movies all the time, if somebody
Hmm.
drops out or God
It
forbid they
happens.
get,
Yeah.
let me know. I'm
Hmm.
happy to work on this with you.
Mm.
So that ended up happening, man. One of the guys who was, remember,
Injure
I
him.
was California. No, this is how crazy some things can
Yeah.
happen, man.
Yeah.
But the point is, like, I had already kind of established myself, as some people see me as like an expert in this genre, of the 80s and
Mm.
90s action and martial arts films. I'm in shape. I'm a martial artist myself.
Hmm.
So like there's certain qualifications like, yeah, this guy could probably work, right? People see me as like, and I've had people say, "Oh, you
Hmm.
should do movies, you should
Mm.
be in movies." But so anyway, I was like basically on the top of the list for Sean, right? In
Yeah.
case somebody dropped out. But the crazy thing is, so I was in California and I remember getting a call. I was staying with my brother. I was
Yeah.
training with Don Wilson, doing cool stuff out there. And he had called and said, "Hey, this was in May." He said, "Hey, are you free in June at all?" I was like, "Uh, sure. Why?" He's like, "Well," and he was scrambling. He's like, "Well, one of the guys got injured and he can't do the film." I was like, "Oh, okay. Well, what's the part?" And this was all fresh because he's going through it.
Mm.
Long story short, if somebody had just like thrown the script on my lap, said, "Hey, read this script, pick
Mm.
whatever character you want to play, and you could have it." Like, I would have picked this character. To me, this
Mm.
character is more interesting than the lead. The lead is a
Yeah.
guy named Matthias Landher, and he did a good
Yeah.
job.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Oftentimes, the main character in movies aren't the coolest or most interesting character.
No, it's
When
always
you
the
watch
side
the movie, you'll see what
characters.
I'm talking about.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I tell people in a lot of
Mm.
ways, I'm the real hero of the film because there's like a
Mm.
twist.
Yeah.
So it worked out
No
perfect, man.
spoilers because I haven't seen the movie. I want to see it now. I'm dying to see it now.
It worked out
Yeah.
perfect. And by
Yeah.
the way, this was about exactly 2 months after
Mm.
my wife, who's my ex-wife,
Mm.
now told me
Yeah.
this whole pursuit of movies and everything else was a stupid
Hmm.
childhood dream that's never going to happen. And I know she meant it.
Yeah.
Like it was like a dagger to my heart, and I don't resent her for it. I feel
Yeah.
like it happened for a couple of reasons. For one, she's seen me behind the scenes for the last couple of years putting so much time, all my extra time and energy, and trying to get this
Yeah.
movie called Blood Phoenix up and running, trying to rate, like I wrote it. People love the screenplay. Bay Logan, I'll tell you a funny story about Bay. After he read it, he said, I got a question for you. I was like, "Yeah, what's up, man? Did you really write that?" I was like, "Yeah, why?" Like, it's really fucking good. I'm like, "Well, thank you, Bay." That's kind of a backhanded
Yeah.
compliment, but thank you. I did really write it. So he thought it was really, really well written.
Yeah.
But Matthias Hues wrote like a whole letter of like just praising it. He loved
Hmm.
it. Sheldon Lettich. Sheldon Lettich is a guy that will tell you
He's
if
the
it sucks
OG.
in front of your face. He
Yeah.
does not sugarcoat anything. He would
Yeah.
literally say that it sucks. You suck as a writer. You don't know what you're doing. He said it was really good. He said he loved how
Mm.
it was structured. He said the dialogue was really good. That's actually something that Sheldon's not good at is dialogue. And he even
Mm.
he openly talks about that he's not good
Yeah.
at writing dialogue, but he structures and puts together such a great film, but he usually works with a guy like George Saunders or something who helps with the
Hmm.
dialogue and other stuff. So
Yeah.
he praised the dialogue, loved the structure, all the plot points, the twists, everything works in it. Anyway, I know for a fact it's a great screenplay because I got real industry feedback from it, right? Especially from a
Yeah.
guy like Sheldon Lettich. So
Mm.
this was in the works for years, all this time, all this energy. I did raise some money. Even Alberto Lenzi, the guy that owns the rights to Bloodsport, was going to put some money into it. So we
Wow.
were making progress, but not it. Look, at the end of the day, the film hasn't gotten made yet. And I do
Yeah.
feel like I'm talking to a new producer now who's very excited, gave him the pitch deck, gave him the script, and he wants to move forward with it pretty quickly. So we'll
Yeah.
see what happens, man. I have a lot of
Well, good luck
confidence
with that,
in the
dude.
film.
Good luck with that.
Yeah, thanks.
Can you
That's
put
my
me in that
dream
movie?
project. But the reason I bring that up
Yeah.
is because that's why I don't resent my ex-wife from saying this stupid childhood dream that's never gonna happen. Because if anybody
Yeah.
sees behind the scenes, yeah, you see me on Instagram posts and stories, they don't see how much fucking time I'm on the phone. How many? Remember, I told you even last night I was on
Yeah.
another Zoom
Yeah.
meeting, a film-related
Yeah.
thing.
It was. Yeah.
There's so much. That's all my free time is trying to make this thing happen. And my message to anybody, if you're trying to be an actor, if you're trying to be anything, you're not just going to sit there with a pretty headshot and a monologue and expect people just to be calling your phone. I always say, if you're
No,
not invited to the table, build your own. So the last few years, I've been
building your own
constructing my own
table.
table because I know once
Mm,
I have a nice table and I could sit there and I've done some work, I'll eventually get invited to the big table, but no one's going to invite you there until like you've
mm,
already semi established yourself to some degree. So anyway, she said that. Fast forward 2 months, I'm in Germany shooting the last Kumite, and one of my favorite movies growing up was Bloodsport. I'm like, wow, I'm actually fighting in the Kumite in a movie and working alongside all these greats that I've grown up watching.
mm.
Cynthia's in there, Billy Blanks,
Bill
Kurt
Blanks,
McKinney,
yeah,
Muhammad Kisi, Abdel Kisi,
yeah.
and so many more.
Too
Obviously
many.
Matthias Hues.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a wonderful experience. But see, here's the funny thing. Now you tie that in to like the way I look at it, if you try enough and you work enough, you'll eventually get lucky. Like it's
Yeah.
just it'll just happen. So some people can
Yeah.
chalk that up to luck. I think it was meant to happen because there's another, and again, putting yourself out there and getting noticed. So there's a director, Rene Perez. He's seen my YouTube channel. He's seen, I'm a martial artist, all this other stuff.
Hmm.
And there's a producer that wanted to put together a film with him. And, he had a list of like 5 guys that he wanted because all these guys had like 1 million+ followers on Instagram. But Rene didn't
Yeah.
like any of them. He thought I would be great in it. So he was trying to sell me on that producer, the guy funding the movie, right?
Yep.
Long story short, the guy didn't get on board because at that point I had not done anything. Had the last Kumite at least been out, he'd probably be like, okay, this guy's pretty good. But anyway, I told Renee, I said, F that guy, I'll find the money myself. Which the funny thing is,
Mm.
I found the money to produce that movie in Germany. See, the networking and all that, it
Yeah.
never stops, man. Like you wouldn't believe how many
Yeah.
new cool people I met in Dallas,
Hmm.
even on set in Northern California, that you could potentially work with on a project someday.
Yeah.
Like
Do
you
it.
just have like that, like for example, like all these people that I interviewed, like I was trying to get Kurt McKinney in this, by the way, and we
Mm.
almost got him. But look,
Yeah.
I did some great scenes with Kurt McKinney in the last Kumite. I enjoyed working with him. I've kept in
Yeah.
touch. We call each other every once in a while. So and maybe he's a guy I don't work with for 5 years, but I got his contact. And if I'm involved
Yeah.
in a project and feel like Kurt McKinney would be perfect, let me call him, see if he's interested, and they can make some kind of deal. I'll connect him to the producer or whatever. So just having like that list of different
In,
individuals, whether they're crew, whether they're people in the fight world, whether they're actors, whatever, and being able to like, if I'm involved in a project, again, like I said, if I feel like someone's a good fit, of
yeah.
course, I want to help people. I'll try to get them involved if I feel like they're a good fit.
Exactly. No, that's true because like even though I'm in a different field, like with gaming and social media, game stuff like that, I do a ton of networking. Like look at this right now. I'm talking to you at 1:30 in the morning.
Sure.
Doing that sort of stuff because it's dedication. It's trying to work on things. I've built up a huge list of people that I've worked with over the years, and it could be like the smallest little thing, or just a talk or a Discord chat. My Discord is full of people I've talked to occasionally, where I've actually been worked and sponsored and stuff like that. So it's always good to, and even if it's something left field that you feel like, okay, it's not something I normally would work in, I still get those contacts because I feel like later on it might not have been something I normally would work on, but later on they will work on another project and hey, PS2 worked with us on this project and he helped us out. And they might get me back for a bigger project and vice versa. I'll help them out. So I feel you on that, helping each other out because everyone reaps the benefits eventually in the end, when you're helping each other out. So,
Oh yeah, for sure.
yeah.
Because
So, yeah.
again, like when I do this stuff, I'm not trying to help these people thinking I'm gonna get anything out of it. But that's
Mm,
I do believe in karma. Like it could come back
yeah.
to you where you never know when
Yeah.
these people have a good experience with you and they might recommend you for something.
Exactly.
Like
Exactly.
that could always happen.
Wholeheartedly.
But
Yeah.
I'm always just looking what I
Mm,
can do. And maybe someone helps me, that'd be great.
yeah. And when like now that you're currently working in movies and you're doing the fight stuff at the moment, is there anything else in your repertoire you like to add in there, your resume, or something that you haven't tried yet that you'd like to do, like maybe a musical, or
No, not a musical. I mean,
bring
there's
out it. How about bring out a CD? I don't know.
I
What's
should come
something?
out with a rap album, right?
Viking Samurai.
No,
Is
I
there
mean
something?
there's talks
Yeah.
like I might in 2025 open up a gym out here. That's a
Oh,
possibility.
okay.
And if I did, I would partner with Joe, who's already got a lot of success in
Yeah.
Sacramento. And one of his
That's
concerns,
yeah.
he was like, well, you are kind of away a lot and you're working on
Mm,
film, more and more films. I said,
mm.
and I already had the solution. I even look, I'm still cool with my ex-wife, by the way.
That's
Like even though
good.
she's
That's
my
good.
ex, because
Yeah.
look, she's got a nice career, but she hates it. She's in the healthcare field. She it's
Hmm.
CT and MRI tech. And I
Yeah.
told her, look, if I end up, because I know the numbers,
Hmm.
they're quite good actually. If you what you can make off of a gym that's just like a
Mm,
medium size. And I told her, look, if I end up opening this gym up, then you could just help me run it. Because one thing I always love about her is her work ethic. Like
yeah.
she has insane work ethic. So I already know for a fact,
Hmm.
because people might say, "Oh, why would you do anything with your ex-wife?" Well, The Rock still works with his ex-wife
Yeah. Yeah.
because obviously, he understands probably her work ethic, right?
Yeah.
And business acumen. So I would totally just probably run it with
Mm,
my ex-wife.
yeah. Why not? I mean, if it
And
still
Joe would
works,
be a
doesn't it?
partner because he's got
Yeah.
the formula.
Yeah. He's got the formula. He sprinkles his spices there.
Yeah, yeah.
That's awesome. So
So that's
the
something I
gym,
might do
that
next year.
man, you're not going to end up sleeping at all by the way you're going. No sleep.
I drink like because I live by myself. I
Hmm.
I I make a pot of coffee and then I drink the whole pot
Mm,
by myself.
yeah.
By the
I
end of
got
the day.
this. I got this right now.
But see that I also might even supplement it with this. During the day.
Oh,
I
okay.
like everyone's got their thing. Like in general, I
Yeah.
live healthy. I live clean. If there's something I
Hmm.
do that's probably a little excessive, I probably
Hmm.
drink too much coffee.
Yeah, I love my coffee. Coffee is my weakness.
I just love the
Um,
taste of it, dude. It don't even wake me up. Like
oh,
I could drink it before bed. I just love the taste of it at this point.
yeah. I don't know this. I like just nasty instant coffee. Like in the morning, I just want like 3 cups, bang, down the
Oh,
throat,
you
down the
do the
gurgler.
instant? See, I'm
Yeah,
I'm I'm grinding
yeah.
my
Oh,
my
you're
um
grinding? Okay,
my
fancy talk
organic
grinding.
beans every morning.
I'm just instant everything. I have no time for grinding my stuff. I'm 50
Sure.
years old for Christ's sake, so I just want to pour it in there and get it over and done with. How much time on each day would you spend maybe editing a video, like on a roughly give or take?
Man, it's kind of hard to answer because it depends on the
Mm,
kind of video, right? Like when I was doing the channel a couple years ago when I had more time to focus on the channel,
hmm.
you could, man, some of these could be, I mean, well over 10 hours,
Mm,
for way over 10 hours for one video.
mm,
But see, the problem with YouTube is it'd be easy if you could just put in like a whole movie scene and narrate over it, but you really can't use more than 10 seconds or you get copyright flagged. And
yeah.
then if the video is non-monetized, and sometimes not even be able to show in certain territories, what's the point?
Mm,
So,
yeah.
you got to use a lot of pictures, you got to use little clips, and then
Hmm.
it anybody would say it takes way longer than it should, man. Now you could
Mm,
streamline the process. So, for example, when I do interviews, those are obviously quicker. I'll cut out a little
yeah.
bit of the fluff, tighten it up, and just put a
Hmm.
couple images or videos. So those don't
Mm,
take nearly as long.
yeah.
But when I do like more of an essay or a breakdown on a
Yeah.
film and show pictures and talk all
Yeah.
about behind the scenes trivia, little clips, I mean, you could spend you could easily spend an hour per minute of video. So if it's
Yeah.
a 10-minute video, you could spend 10 hours and you could always spend more. Like my whole thing is like I get it out where I think it's at least good enough.
Mm,
Otherwise, you could spend a week on a video that
yeah.
may only get a few thousand views. It's like, it's
Yes.
not like I'm just trying to churn them out, but I need to get
Mm,
out a certain amount and I can't, get all the last little detail, the
mm,
last nice little sound of it.
mm.
Like I can't afford to do that. Otherwise, the videos would never come out. So you
Exactly.
right balance of like
Yeah.
enough quality but enough efficiency where it's like you don't it's not a
Mm,
Hollywood blockbuster film. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
It's a YouTube video at the end of the
It's a
day.
YouTube. I get it. I had a friend who did the same. Like he was spending like a whole week making his videos, and they were really good, but they weren't
Yeah.
getting any views. And he said to me, "Why is this guy doing better?" I said, "Because he is not spending a week on videos. He is spending a minutes on videos, and he's pumping out like multiple movies. He's consistent. You got to. There's a consistency. You have to be consistent. And the moment you don't drop off a regular video, it's you will drop off. people are waiting for that next video, and you got to
Sure.
churn them out. But of course, you're going to make sure that, well, there is some sort of quality. So yeah, okay. So when was the first video on your channel that where you thought, holy shit, I can actually make some money out of this now? What was the first video that started blowing up for you? You're
It
like,
was the
wow.
Mike Tyson comeback when I
Mm.
was talking about that in
Oh yeah, yeah,
2020 because he did that exhibition against Roy Jones
yeah.
Jr. And I just talked about how, amazing he was back in the day. Like everybody knew about him. Like Mike Tyson
Mm,
transcended the world of boxing. You didn't have to be in a boxing. Everybody knew Mike Tyson. Just like
yeah,
Michael Jordan, even if you're not into
yeah.
basketball,
Exactly. Yeah,
he was just one of those names, almost like a mythological figure, right? And
yeah.
and then
He is.
yeah, he's awesome, man. And
I love
then
Mike.
just the thought of him coming back and talking
Mm,
about how he like, he still has that, there's a certain side of him that he doesn't want to come out, but he also kind
mm,
of wants to let that beast out of the cage, and he got a
mm,
chance to do that. And look, we're all locked up in our homes because of the pandemic at the time. And that
mm-hmm,
video in those interviews he was doing, just the build up to it. So I just did a very nice piece talking about how iconic, and amazing he was. And
mm,
that video, this was several months into my YouTube journey where prior to that, my videos I'd be lucky if I got 100 views. And
yeah,
some of them were pretty damn good. Like some of them have since gone on to over 100,000 views. Like I did a very nice
mm,
breakdown on Jeff Speakman, on Mark
mm-hmm,
Dacascos, on Brandon Lee. And the reason I bring
mm-hmm,
these up is because in
mm,
those videos only got like 100 views, right?
yeah,
I think the best video I ever did, or view wise, before that Tyson one was like a Conor McGregor one that got about 1,800 views. I was like, okay, that's something, a little blip
mm,
there.
yeah,
But the Tyson one, within a week, it was like the channel was blowing up like crazy. 100,000 views, next 100,000 views. Now it's like at,
mm,
it petered out like at a million views, but it got up to like about 650,000 pretty quick. Then all of a sudden, my subs obviously shot up, because it's just a numbers
yeah,
game. You're going to get a certain amount of subs
yeah,
based on a certain amount of views. And
yeah,
then all of a sudden, what YouTube started doing was it started pushing out my older videos, like the ones on Jeff Speakman, Brandon Lee, all
yeah,
that. So then
yeah,
all those started getting a lot of views, like the Philip Reeve video, and then some of
yeah,
my older Seagal videos started getting views. So, and I've heard about this from a lot of people who do YouTube. They might be grinding away for 6 months, for a year with nothing. Like when I
yeah,
say nothing,
yeah,
meaning they're probably getting less than 1,000 views per video, maybe
yeah,
100 or something, maybe 38 views, but they're grinding. And look, I started YouTube as a creative outlet. I never started it thinking I could make money, right?
mm,
But after that one popped, and then like I hit the threshold of 4,000 hours, 1,000 subscribers, and then the other stuff started getting viewed. Then they start
mm.
calculating the money. I'm like, oh, you can actually, it can make some extra money. I could maybe buy some new toys with this extra money. But yeah, that was the one, man. It was that Mike Tyson
Yeah,
2020 comeback that really kickstarted everything. And
mm.
yeah, that was the one that made me realize, damn, I can actually get some real views doing this.
That's amazing. That's awesome. What strategies have you worked on? So after that Mike Tyson video, what was the strategies and ideas that you thought would you'd have to like change or maybe progress on to forward this channel to make it keep going the way it was or has now gone?
Well, the main thing, and you kind of mentioned this earlier, is that consistency. So just
Mm,
being consistent, because the more videos you do, the more editing you do, the more narration you do, the
mm,
better you're going to get. And that's what
yeah,
I always tell people when they start a YouTube channel. It's like, look, just start putting out videos, because your first
mm,
batch of videos, nobody's going to watch them anyway. There's going to be like
mm,
20 people watching them. This is where you could be horrible, make all your mistakes, do all that, because by
mm-hmm.
the time people start watching, you're going to start getting pretty good.
Yeah,
You're going
exactly.
to
Yeah.
really kind of start having it. So, the thing with YouTube, I'll make certain videos, and I'll give you a perfect example of something I did recently. I and there's certain things that like even though I'm aware of it, I don't do what I should. So there's
Mm,
certain videos that I put out that I pretty much know for a fact it's going to crack 100,000 views. If I have a video that cracks 100,000, I find that to be a success, right?
mm,
Because that's like doing 50 videos that only get 2,000 views. You could spend a year
mm-hmm.
doing that and you could get the same result with one video. So there's a
Mm,
specific, like, I put out several videos with Richard Norton,
yeah.
and I knew the way I could
Fellow
title
Aussie.
one of them regarding Chuck Norris and Benny the Jet.
Yeah.
I knew I envisioned the thumbnail and the way I could title it, and I wouldn't say it's misleading. Like at its surface, you might think the title could be misleading, but no, not
Hmm.
really. If somebody really thought about it, it's like, okay, I see where he's going with that. But I knew
Yeah.
for a fact that video would crack 100,000. I knew the other ones wouldn't. Like I already
Yeah.
know that. So my whole thing is if I would, and I'm not saying I'm not smart, but if I was smart, I would only do videos that I know could crack, at least have a chance to crack 100. I
Mm.
wouldn't even waste my time on videos that I feel could get 2, 3, 4, 5,000 views. I wouldn't even waste my time. But the
Yeah.
reason I put that out though is that I still want to get the whole Richard Norton interview out because these are still stories and topics
Yeah.
that are at least going to be of some interest to a lot of people. Not a lot, but a few people, like 2, 3, 4,
Yeah.
5,000. So I still
Yeah.
want to put that out. I don't want to spend 2 hours with Richard, put out a 9-minute video because I know, oh, this is the 9 minutes that's going to get me 100,000 plus views and ignore the rest of it. So I still
Yeah.
feel obligated because he spent the time with me and he's got a great story to share. So even though
Yeah.
the videos may not get a ton of views, they're worth putting out, and I want that on my channel.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing when I interviewed Timac. I broke that video down into about 5 segments. There's only one of those segments that have a chance to break 100,000. The rest might be 3, 4, 5,000. But I
Yeah.
still feel obligated to put them out because I still know there's people that are going to want to hear that. But the problem with YouTube, it builds like a snowball. If I were to only put out videos that I know could crack 100, putting out one after another, the channel would explode. But because I sprinkle it with these, like, I
Tidbit.
don't want to say duds, but view wise, they are dud videos. And I know that going
Yeah.
in, I kind of screw myself.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
I feel like I should put
Mm.
them out though.
Yeah, because you not only that, you're also honoring the people that you're talking to and showing respect too, because they're giving up their time to talk to you.
Exactly.
And you want to share not just a part of the story or something that you know is like the nitty gritty stuff. You want to share their whole story because they're spending their time to talk to you.
And there's
I
that
wholeheartedly, yeah,
hardcore
yeah,
audience that watches everything, and I know
yeah.
they appreciate
Man,
everything,
I've watched. I know sometimes I get in that gateway where I'm watching one of your interviews, and then I'll watch part two, then part three, and and I'll go in that void. Where I've just watched 5 videos because I want to see the next part. So what you're doing is good. That's good stuff because sometimes
It
yeah,
is and it isn't.
yeah, well yeah, I
To
get
be
it,
on the
but
algorithm's good
yeah.
side, it's bad. So be on like community that can
Algorithm.
appreciate everything,
Yeah,
it's good.
yeah. I hate the algorithm. I even hate the word. I hate that word algorithm. When it comes to YouTube and TikTok and all the platforms, everyone says, "Oh, it's the algorithm." It's like I don't think anyone knows anything about the algorithm. It's like people will say this and say that, but you follow those rules and steps, and it doesn't seem to work until luck comes your way. I think it's more luck than algorithm.
Well, yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, you got to have a high click-through rate, ideally in the teens or
Mm,
20%. Any click-through rate
mm,
below 10%, the video is pretty much
mm,
not going to go anywhere. And
yeah.
then it's viewer attention. Like if they're watching it for less than 30 seconds, it's not going to go anywhere. And a
Yeah.
lot of people watch it for less than 30 seconds. So if you're getting people
Mm,
to watch over half the video, so if you got a 10-minute video and the majority of people are
mm,
watching over half of it, that's good. And if you get
yeah.
a
It's
click-through
good.
rate
Yeah.
that's like 15, 20, 25%, that's great. Because then
Mm,
YouTube starts pushing, the algorithm will start pushing out to other people. So the
yeah.
algorithm is based on people's attention because there's
Yeah.
certain things that you would click on. You need more than 1 out of 10 people to click on it, by the way, when they
Mm,
first see it. That's why there's certain topics
yeah.
I know you could probably get 2 people out of 10 to click on it, and that's just
Yeah.
going to help you. Whereas like there might be more of a flat part of the interview that's an interesting story but not something that people feel compelled to click on, at least not right away.
Yeah.
So the
S-
algorithm, you can make it work for you if you understand it's just based on how people work.
Yeah. And people seem to work on whatever grabs them first. Like it's the first 15 seconds you grab someone's attention with a video from what I've
Oh,
heard.
maybe even five
Yeah.
seconds, man. People are
Yeah, mate.
quick,
What,
10.
yeah, not even that anymore. I think with the Zoomers now, it's going to be like 2 seconds.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
it's even like a
Yeah.
movie script. Like if
Yeah.
something great doesn't happen in the first 10 pages, garbage. Someone will
Yeah.
they have people
Yeah.
have a job literally to go through screenplays for big studios and they'll flip through
Yeah.
it. If it's
Let's
not
make another Marvel
formatted
movie.
correctly, garbage.
Yeah.
Grammatical errors, garbage, because they
Yeah.
feel like if this guy is not gonna take it serious and learn how to format it
Mm,
or spell and be
mm.
grammatical, then why am I he's obviously not professional. right?
Yeah,
Garbage. Why waste my
yeah,
time?
yeah, yeah. Well, actually, speaking of the movies, like the films that are coming out today, like, do you feel like the action genre would ever make a big comeback, or is it just going to be like superhero movies? What's your theory on that? Would you like
I
to see
do think
action films
more
come
real
back?
action will come back. I mean, look how successful the
Yeah,
John Wick franchise has been. You know, like a
yeah, it's
not,
been
I mean, he's
huge.
almost like
Yeah,
a comic book character at this point, but it's more real action, obviously, than superhero
yeah.
films.
I do love the John
So,
Wick movies. I love Keanu. Man's a legend. He's a doppelganger. He doesn't age too. Like,
yeah, he's definitely aged very well.
yeah.
But
But
see, then you
yeah,
got movies like The Killer's Game, which I thought was pretty well done. You know,
yeah.
modest budget, but it flopped, and they probably just didn't market it well. So, you
Is
know,
that the one with
when you have something
Batista?
like that
I
come
haven't
out,
seen it. Yeah.
I mean, it's
Is that
worth
what?
watching.
Yeah.
But when you have something like that come out with a modest budget and
Mm,
flops, it doesn't help the action genre. Because if you
mm,
have more of those movies in like that
mm,
$35 million range, if they're
mm.
hits, they would make
Yeah.
more. Because that's what you need ideally, you know, 10 million plus 20
Yeah.
million. You know, not 100 million or anything, but something, you know,
Yeah.
you need a pretty
Yeah.
good budget to
You need a
compete,
you need a good
especially if
budget,
you're in
but
the
also,
theater.
yeah, I've noticed that there seems to be this trend lately, especially with, like, with Netflix and Prime and stuff. When they do release an action film, it's always about a spy or a secret agent or something like that. It's like this trend where it's always a secret spy or agent and stuff. I kind of get tired of it because it feels like they're just copying each other. There's no originality. And
Well,
same thing
even the
like with,
Killer's
yeah,
Game
yeah,
copied
yeah,
Scott
yeah,
Adkins'
yeah,
Accident Man movies.
yeah,
Same type of movie. All
yeah.
these killers are after this ultimate killer, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I haven't seen that Scott Adkins movie, but I've seen the trailer to it. Definitely on my list to watch. I love his stuff though too. He's really good. He's
Well,
another guy
you know,
who's doing.
and he works on very small budgets with very small shooting schedules. I don't even know if he's got 3 weeks. I'm sure he's got more than two, but
Mm,
maybe up to 3 weeks. So even like one of the producers
mm,
that I've been talking to, you know, he's done, and who's interested in moving on, you know, forward with the one that I wrote,
yeah,
the Blood Phoenix film. You know, we were kind of doing some budget breakdowns, and basically just having that extra money just gives you so many more days, and the more
yeah,
time, not the more time you have, the better quality you can do, because it takes so long to
mm,
do sets. So even doing the Natural Born Fire movie, you know, you still gotta.
mm,
It takes a while to just get the lights right, to get the camera. Then
mm-hmm,
you
yeah.
gotta do your master shot. You gotta
Location,
do, you know,
yeah,
the different angles for each actor.
mm,
It takes a while, and you're doing that
yeah,
performance numerous times. I mean, bare
yes,
minimum, you got to do it great at least 3 times on the different
mm,
camera angles, and
yeah,
then, you know, obviously you got to do extra ones for safety, and then maybe
yeah,
the director, you know, try this, you know, like you
mm,
could spend all day just doing, you know,
yeah,
one nice little scene sitting at a
mm,
table talking to somebody. If
yeah,
they did it right, they lit it
yeah,
right, they get all the angles, all the coverage, couple different ways that the actors could play around with it. And that could take all day. So imagine,
yeah,
like, you know, before movies, they had the luxury of shooting like a page a day. If you had
mm,
like a 90-page screenplay, you could do it, you know, in 3 months. Like that's
yeah.
great. You know, you do a page a day.
Now they're
But see,
gone.
they
Yeah, they're
rush
gone.
so much now, especially in Scott Atkins
Mm,
complains about that
mm,
because the action takes could take even longer. So
yeah,
imagine shooting everything like in 3 weeks. You might
yeah.
just sit at a table, do the scene like that. Okay, that's it. We gotta move. You know, it's like, well, fuck, I didn't like how I said that. You know,
Yeah. Well, good thing you're not on a Stanley Kubrick film set because that man was renowned for doing
that's
multiple
those are the
takes.
kind of people I would love to work
Yeah,
with, because I'm the guy.
yeah,
I will
yeah,
do it 100 times. I'll do it a
yeah,
thousand times
yeah,
until it's
yeah,
just right. A lot of people
yeah,
wouldn't want to do that. I'll be
yeah.
up all
No,
night, and I
yeah,
want to be with the director. It's like we're gonna
yeah,
do it exactly how
yeah,
it needs to be done, as long as it takes. I would love to have
yeah,
that, you know, that kind of
yeah.
direct. But see, those guys, you know, they're big
Mm,
names, like and
yeah,
they would have the budget and the resources to be able to
mm,
do that. You know how many times
yeah,
like James Cameron shot some of the just the water going in the ship on the Titanic. I don't like how the water
yeah.
wave.
Well, well, I heard, well, I heard when he did the Abyss, Mary Elizabeth Mastrantoni, when she did that scene where Harris pulled her out and he was resuscitating and he was supposed to slap her in the face. He did it multiple times that it got like out of hand, like it got out of hand, and he was like, it got out of hand. Ed Harris was like about to walk off set, everything, and Mary Elizabeth said she should never work with James Cameron again. And also the other story I heard, it's even on YouTube, is that Stanley Kubrick, when he was working with Shelley Duvall on The Shining, It was basically like torture. He was torturing it, like, saying all this stuff to her just to get her shriveled and traumatized for these scenes, and making her retake. And she was losing hair and stuff like that. I don't know if I could do that. I'd end up punching that guy in the face.
I mean, there's a reason why
uh,
those movies are so good, though.
but they are good. Like The Shining is a classic. Like The Shining is an absolute classic. It's filmed beautifully. And I don't know about you, but like, when I watch a movie or a TV show, sometimes I just notice a shot and I go, wow, that's beautifully. Look at the hell I caught that. That looks amazing. Like me and my partner, we've been watching a lot of Australian made stuff lately, and we're watching a show called Glitch about people coming back from the dead. It's not a zombie show, but it's just about these people randomly coming back alive. But the way they've captured the Australian scenery, like the countryside and stuff, is so beautifully shot. And so I admire that. I love little beautifully shot movies and stuff like that. But so I will look at that. That will capture me. Of course, of course, acting and stuff like that. I love a good acting scene or some monologues and stuff like that in a movie, and of course the action and stuff like that. But I also like the little bits that I feel that are underappreciated, because I think that's the problem. The generation now is like, I want to get from A to B, zoom, zoom. And that's why I think that's why these Marvel movies do so popular, because they're so big and bravado, and there's lots of spectacle in your face. And I don't know. I miss
Well,
the
you could
simpler
blame
times. Yeah.
TikTok, for killing
Yeah.
people's attention span. I mean, people
Hey,
used to
that's my
blame,
bloody platform, man. Just get off.
well, people used to blame MTV for a certain editing style, but TikTok
Yeah.
just made things work. Like, if you can't catch or hold someone's attention after 2 seconds, they're done with you, It's
Yeah.
very,
True.
yeah.
It's unfortunate the way it is, but I think a lot of platforms are like that too. They sort of copy and emulate themselves. Like if your video, it doesn't capture someone's eye within a matter of seconds, they move on, flick, 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 flick till they catch something's eye, and it's really hard to try and capture them with your stuff, and like I've been lucky enough with TikTok with my stuff. It's been doing okay, it's been doing well. And now like with you, like, I'm trying to do YouTube at the moment, and it's a different ball game. But I'm trying. So that's the main thing. I got to keep going, but keep the
For
ball
sure.
rolling, keep everything going. But also there is talks about TikTok being banned in the US. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think that would that happen over there, or and
It's more likely to happen that Trump's
yeah.
going to be in office. They've been
Mm,
talking about that for a while, because
yeah.
the Chinese are spying on everybody and all that other stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I
Yeah.
barely ever use TikTok. I just put, every once in
Mm,
a while some video I've already made
mm,
for Instagram on there,
mm,
but
yeah.
I mean, some people can make a living doing TikTok in the US. So I feel sorry for those
Yeah.
people if it does get banned, because that's like, wow,
Yeah.
that's their cash cow.
But it's a very big platform over there, and like there's a creator program where people are making money directly off their videos and their lives and stuff. So there is definitely some money there. I don't think it's as big as YouTube with the revenue, but it's still pretty big. But we don't have that creator program in Australia, which sucks. So that's why I've moved on to YouTube
Why
and
though?
tried
Why
to.
not?
From what I hear is because the population of Australia. So the two main platforms in Australia is Facebook and
Okay,
YouTube. Yeah, so they're the biggest ones, and then TikTok is the third biggest one. So, and it's because of the younger audience as well. So the younger audience are really into TikTok, whereas I think Australia has more of an older population. So the oldies, and I'm not saying I'm old, I'm middle aged, damn it. Um, is Facebook and YouTube. They're the
sure.
bigger ones. Yeah, so they're doing really well here. So that's why I've sort of thought, okay, well, I'm not going to keep pummeling videos out on TikTok if I'm not going to get anything out of it. I want to build that monetization on YouTube now, so I'm going to build that up and work on that and see how that
For
goes.
sure.
But yeah. But so what is planned for you the next month or so? What little projects are you working on at the moment that you would like to plug away before we wrap up?
Oh, just the next month, I'll be in Atlantic City at Alan Goldberg's Mega Action
Hmm.
Weekend. So I'll
Hmm.
bring copies of The Last Kumite and sign them. I did that at Dragon's Fest over the
Oh,
summer.
nice, excellent. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
so that
awesome. Yeah.
yeah, for going to the Alan Goldberg Mega Action Weekend, for me it's just
Hmm.
cool to see everybody. You get all the guys. Cynthia is always there. Don Wilson's always there.
She's yeah. She
Bill.
doesn't age either. She doesn't age
No,
either. She
no,
looks
she still
amazing.
looks great.
She's amazing. Love her movies. Is it China Law?
China O'Brien is really,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
then her Black
yeah,
Creek is getting a lot of attention. I think it just
yeah. I saw
got
the trailer.
a
I
lot
just
of,
saw the trailers. Yeah, And
Yeah,
that's
some Western magazine picked it up and said, "Oh,
mhm.
this is like the best Western coming out," you know?
Awesome. Yeah, that's really cool to see them still working at it and still doing that stuff and performing and making that stuff. Because like I remember growing up seeing a lot of her movies like all over. Like if you went to the local we had a local video store here, it was a mum and pop video store. It was just she had like a whole shelf dedicated to all her movies.
Oh
Like
yeah, she
oh
same with
mate, she
Don
done
Wilson. They were just so in
yeah. Oh
so many
yeah.
movies. Don's like in
Yeah.
30. Cynthia's probably in close to
Yeah.
that many.
Yeah, Don is another legend. I loved his movies. Like God, jeez, I can't think of the titles, but he's always kicking the shit out of somebody. All these movies. But you know, they were fun films. Like that, you knew what you was getting with his
Sure.
movies. Like, yeah, they might have been B grade, but you knew you was going to get a lot of action and a lot of fun with them. So I loved his stuff. And it's great to see that you're working with him too. That's amazing. How did you feel like that? Like, did he approach you to say, "Hey, you want me to train you," or was it the other way around? Did you, "Hey, do you mind showing me, Mister Miyagi? Can you show me the way of the dragon?"
Yeah, I'm trying to think because I met him through Alan Goldberg years
Yeah,
ago and interviewed
yeah,
him and kept in touch. And
yeah.
I think it was more like when I was in town, that it's like, hey,
Mm,
like I think I asked if I could work out with him sometime next time I'm in town. He's like, yeah, yeah, come by the boxing gym, which happens to be
mm,
Phil Polina's boxing gym. Phil Polina,
mm,
funny enough, that's where the
mm.
Paul brothers got started. Because
Yeah,
Don would tell me like Jake and Logan Paul, they would come with their big entourage, these fancy sports cars, these hot
yeah,
model
yeah,
women. They would all come to the gym and they would start training. And man, look how far they've come in the boxing world, though. So
yeah,
Jake Paul, even though he hasn't necessarily fought outside of Tommy Fury, any of these like high level boxers, he fought these older ex UFC fighters and recently Mike Tyson, who was 58. But look,
yeah.
he's bringing eyeballs to boxing. His promotion, I give him a lot of credit because the other fights
Mm,
they had on the card, like that
mm.
girl fight, for example, huge. No
Great
females have
fight.
ever made that much in a boxing match. No, they
Mm,
never had that many eyeballs on female boxing. So, you know,
yeah.
if it weren't for them being on the Tyson card with him, they wouldn't have gotten the
Mm.
attention. So he is helping the boxing world a lot.
Yeah, I know a lot of people talked about the girls' fight at work. When I went home, they said without girls, they feel better. Those two, guys chat, and it was like but I still yeah, it was amazing. It was and being on Netflix too, like
Yeah, it was a
uh
fun
yeah,
event. I mean, the,
yeah,
the the last
yeah,
fight, all the fights were good, but the last fight, the Paul Tyson
mm,
left a lot to
mm,
be desired. But hey, man,
yeah,
the event was big.
mm,
It was fun. It
yeah,
was on Netflix, and
yeah. It was
boxing just got
huge.
a lot more eyeballs than it ordinarily would have gotten.
Yeah, well, I for someone for me, I've always admired more boxing than I do the UFC because I feel it's just two men and their wits and their fists. That's all they're relying on. So that's just that's my thing that I used to like. With where I think with UFC, you're just grappling, there's kicking and punching, multiple things that they're using. Where it's just you got to try to outmaneuver footwork and fists. And I used to I don't know. It's probably because it's the old school in me watching those things, and plus growing up with the Rocky films and stuff like that. I always admired the boxing. I just saw it as I know like ballet. You're watching like this ballet with two guys, even though it's not ballet because they're getting the shit kicked out, punched out of them.
Sure,
But
sure.
it's to me that's to me my ballet. I love that. But anyway, I really appreciated you coming in and having a chat with us, man. It's been really amazing. It's been in the cards for quite some time to have a chat with you. Um, and I really appreciate that you spent the time to have a chat with us. What's the time for you over there at the moment? Over there.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's late for you. It's only 11:35, almost lunchtime here.
Yeah, it's 3:05 a.m. for
Uh,
me. But yeah, is there anything else that you want to add? Like you're planning on doing any more changes to the YouTube channel, or like where do you want to see your channel go in 2024? Or where do you want to see yourself go to in 2025?
Oh,
What
just the bigger
goals?
movies with the bigger budgets.
Mm,
That's been the plan
mm,
all along. My plan
yeah.
going 2025, get an agent to submit me to the bigger stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I'm already talking
Yep.
to a couple producers with bigger stuff. So the
Nice.
plan that I've had is working out. Like I got
Mm,
I got a nice demo reel. I got some nice credits now because I never wanted to
yeah.
just go to an agent and say, "Hey, I want to be in movies. I want to do this." Like I want to
Yeah.
go, "Hey, I've done this. I've done this.
Mm,
Here's my demo reel. Here's some nice headshots. Here's some credits."
mm-hmm.
And I approach them like, "I know I can make you a lot of money." That I,
Yeah.
like I'm giving them something, not asking
Mm.
for anything. Now, obviously, we'll help
Yeah.
each other, but that's how I've always wanted to approach it. And that's, how 2025 is going to be. Like, I got something to offer. Here's my credits. Here's
Yeah.
stuff that I've done. I've proven myself that
Yeah.
I
This
could
is
do
my
some of this stuff.
portfolio. Let's do this. No, that's
Yeah.
excellent, man. Well, like I said, I've been following you for quite some time, and we've been chatting for quite some time. The stuff that we've been chatting about. So it's good to see you progress from where you are from then to now. So it's been great work and a great journey, and I know there's going to be bigger and better things for you, man. So,
Oh yeah, I feel like
yeah,
I'm just scratching the surface, like I'm just
yeah.
getting started here.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to wish you all the best. And also, guys, whoever's watching right now, please go check him out. Viking Samurai, check out his YouTube channel. He's actually got two YouTube channels. I will put the links down in the bottom. Go check him out. Go follow him out right now and check out his journey. And hopefully, he can be an inspiration to you for your 2025. Anyway, thanks again for hanging out with us, Viking. I really appreciate it, man. You've been an absolute treasure.
Yeah, thanks, Eric.
Thanks, man. No worries, mate. Take it
All
easy,
right.
buddy. Bye.